Morning. I don't think I did a show last week, did I? Because Spider-Man Coming from Home, whatever it's called, Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm mixing up my movies, opened last Friday, and so Friday morning at 9 o'clock, I went to see it. I'm not going to talk about it. It's already, it's a week old already. It's already old. But you can read my review on my website at howard4film.com. Howard, F-O-R film.com. You can read all my reviews there and tell me what you think. You might disagree, and that's okay. I can live with that. I get people who, particularly Chinese, who are living north of us here, and if they don't like my reviews, they tell me, and I write back and I go, "Thank you. I'm so glad that you disagree with me. Isn't it wonderful that we can agree to disagree?" That's what democracy is all about. Anyhow, I'm going to talk about two films that opened yesterday in Hong Kong. The first is a Korean film called Miss and Mrs. Cops. The Korean name, I won't even bother to try to pronounce it. I know like two Korean words, 안녕하세요 and 감사합니다, two expressions. But this one it's a homophone of girl cops. So it sort of sounds like girl cops. But in English, they call it Miss and Mrs. Cops, as opposed to Miss and Mrs. Cop. Okay. I'm not a big fan of Korean cinema, unlike my friend James, who loves Korean cinema. But I do venture out once in a while and see a Korean film. I don't know if this was the best film I could have seen, but whatever. Now, my relationship with South Korea, it dates back to gasp 1988, 31 years ago, when I went to the Olympics. I wasn't in the Olympics. I went to the Olympics because why can't I remember his name? The Canadian runner who was the fastest man on earth. He was the Usain Bolt of his day. Why can't I remember his name? Anyhow, I went to see him run track, and he won, and it was very exciting. And then he got busted for doping, and then he got stripped of the title, and the rest is history. Him and what was the other guy's name? Was Mark something. And it was funny. I was sitting in the stadium watching the two of them get ready, and I hadn't. Look, I'm from Toronto, and I remember Mark, whatever his last name was, when we were teenagers, and I hadn't seen him in a few years. And then I see him there, and he's like got muscles, out to here. And this is like even before all the doping. And I looked and went, holy Cardinal, hadn't seen well, he also was doping. Now we know. And he also, he didn't come in for a second. I think he came in fourth, but he got also busted, and that was the end of his career. What was that guy's name? Why can't I remember? I remember he played football for like one game or something after that. But anyhow, it was a fun time. I really enjoyed it. And I have to say, I love the country, but I'm sorry, I'm going to piss off half of the South Korean population right now. I hate the men. I'm sorry. You guys are too, well, let's do the past tense first. You were too misogynistic for my taste. But I love the country, and I love the food. Love the garlic. Now, here we are 31 years later. I had assumed that Korean men had changed with the times, but if Miss and Mrs. Cops is any indication, they haven't. So it seems you guys haven't changed in 31 years. This is a terribly, and terribly is, is the right word here, misogynistic movie. Now, the story is we have Park Mi-young, who's played by Ra Mi-ran. I'm sorry if I don't know my Korean, so let's call her Ma-ri-ran. Anyhow, so her name is Mi-young in the movie. She was once a high-kicking, no-nonsense detective investigating major crimes, but after her marriage and to a well-meaning loser, and she had a baby, she's shunted aside. And she ends up working a front desk job in the public service center of a Seoul police station. I thought that was strange. So here she was getting all these accolades, awards, the whole thing. She gets married, has a baby. Suddenly essentially she's demoted. Now, to me, I thought that was strange. And you know what? Maybe this happens in Korea. I don't know. But, okay, you might want to say, okay, now she's married with a baby. We'll move her off to the side. But she was it was truly a huge demotion. And I thought there's been, maybe, again, maybe this happens in Korea, but I thought if you're going to move somebody off the front line, you don't demote, you know. But, that's me. Anyhow, so she's working this front desk job and it's horrible. And anyhow, her sister-in-law, who's Ji Hye, played by Lee Sung-kyung, she's a gung-ho rookie detective, and she not accidentally, she beats up a man who, in a case of mistaken identity, and she ends up being assigned to the same office, sitting right next to her sister-in-law at the front desk. So, and I can see, okay, she's being demoted, but I didn't understand why the other one should be demoted. Anyhow, now when the women hear about a young woman she's tried to commit suicide after some sexual photos of her were posted online, they take it upon themselves to try to bust this spy cam porn ring that's behind it. But they have to do it without the knowledge or approval of their Dragon Lady supervisor. Again, didn't understand that. Or Jihad, the younger woman's, all male former colleagues who were too busy doing nothing. All right. Now, that's basically what this all is all about. Now, this is the second feature film by writer-director Jung Da-won. Don't know what his first film is. And to me, this is a case of missed opportunity. As I was watching this and hating it beyond belief, I thought this has the makings of a half-decent procedural crime drama. Sort of like Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Soul. And I thought, had they done it straight, because this is a comedy, and I thought, had they done it straight, taken all this goofy comedy and done it really straight up, this wouldn't have been too bad. But it's a comedy, and you know what? Perhaps the director was thinking, okay, if this is going to be a marketable thing, commercial success, I got to make a comedy out of this subject about misogyny and spy cam porn. You know what? There's certain things you don't mix, and those are things that those don't mix with unless you're, what? I could say Quentin Tarantino can mix it well because he's, he can do it, but this guy cannot do it. I mean, this was just a real botch job. Yeah, Koreans are loving this movie. So anyhow, so I was offended. I was absolutely offended because you're watching these women. There are some times where, especially the older women, she kicks some butt, which is great. But there's other times where they're being beaten up by men. They're being called whores and other words with before and after the word whore, and things like that. I'm sorry. I don't like that. Not in 2019. I didn't like it in 1988. I don't like it in 2019. And it's just not funny, And added to this film's clumsiness are these ridiculous scenes of the women's computer geek colleague, who's Yang Jung-mi, played by Soo Young. Don't know who she is. Very pretty girl, actually. Oh, that's sexist. She was a good actress. How's that? She's typing on her keyboard like Elton John was playing Pinball Wizard. So she's doing the riff on the keyboard. I'm sorry, you go like this on the keyboard, you get garbage. Plus, we've seen that so many times, in the 90s. Or she's going like this on the keyboard and things are happening. It's just like basically just typing anything. Ha! Not funny. It wasn't, okay, it was maybe funny 25 years ago. Not funny today. So I just thought, really just a horrible film. And then at the end, there's two twists that come. And, somehow they're supposed to even the score and make sense out of this film. And they're just completely unbelievable and they're unearned. Both twists. You just go, oh, come on. It's just completely unearned, unbelievable. Now, with any luck, some competent, and I'm using this word competent because Jung Da-won, this was a botch job. So if you're watching this or somebody tells you about it, you really screwed up on this one. So with any luck, sooner or later, hopefully sooner, not later, some competent Korean director will tackle the subject of sex crimes and endemic mistreatment of women in the manner to which they deserve. This film does not. Horrible film. Shame on you, Mr. Jung Da-won, for making such crap out of such an important subject. Anyhow, that's all I'm going to say about that film. Next film I want to talk about, opened last night, is Annabelle Comes Home. It's Demonic Doll Month in Hong Kong. We have Annabelle Comes Home that opened yesterday. Next week we have the new Chucky movie, Child's Play, which I saw last night. I'll talk about it next week. And I was surprised by it, I gotta say. I was really surprised. And you can tell by my smile which way the surprise was. Now, Annabelle Comes Home is the latest film in the Annabelle trilogy. It's the third film in the Annabelle trilogy. It's, the seventh film, I think, in the Conjuring universe. So you had the 3 Conjuring films. No, maybe it's the 8th. You had the 3 Conjuring films, and you had a couple other ones. Maybe it's the 8th film. I can't remember. So in this Conjuring universe. Now, these are not great films. Okay, let's be honest. These are really, they're not high art, but they're filled with, good chills and thrills, and they're fun, but they're not great films. When you compare it to Get Out, Us, Hereditary. Oh, and by the way, I keep hearing great things about what's his name? Ari, the guy who did Hereditary. He's made this new film called Midsummer. Don't know when it's coming here. It hasn't been scheduled here yet, but I keep hearing great things about that. But Hereditary, which was his first film, was amazing. Anyhow, so, and the It remake, and, oh, yeah. Okay, I won't talk about that. These are really good, solidly crafted horror films. The Annabelle, the Conjuring films are not, they're not in that league, but they're entertaining. And I think Annabelle Comes Home is an entertaining film. It's not a great film, but it's an entertaining film. Now, as the title suggests, Annabelle Comes Home, the doll that seems to be the beacon for demonic spirits to run amok among us, has now come home. And that home belongs to famed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are played once again by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They've been in most of these films. No, I think they've been in about 4 or 5 of these Conjuring universe films. And they're in this one. They're actually in, a friend of mine asked me last night how much of this film are they in, and they're actually in the first 10 minutes and the last 5 minutes. So they're not in a lot, but they're in this film as well. So they bring Annabelle home. The time is now 1968. The Warrens bring Annabelle home, and they put her in a sacred glass case under lock and key in a room that contains all the other demonically possessed artifacts that they've collected over the years. And not surprisingly, the door to that room has multiple locks on it, which they put, they lock all the locks, and there's signs everywhere saying, do not open, no matter what. And you know somebody's going to open this door at some point in this film. So, no great surprise here. Now, what is new for the Annabelle series, but not for the Conjuring series, is the Warrens now have a daughter who is Judy. And if you've seen the Conjuring series, you know this already. And I don't know, is their real daughter's name Judy? I bet the real daughter's name is Judy too. I don't know. Now, this time, Judy is played by McKenna Grace. Now, McKenna Grace is very interesting because she's carved out a career playing the younger versions of movies' primary characters, movies' heroes. So she was the young what's her name, Devers, in Captain Marvel. So the character, what was Devers' first name? I can't remember, but she was the young version of Captain Marvel. She was a young version of Tanya Harding in the movie I, Tanya. So here she plays Judy Warren, the daughter of the Warrens. And she's around 10 years old or so. Now, fast forward about 4 years. Well, I guess, first she's about 6 years old. Now she's about 10. Fast forward about 4 years, and the Warrens need to go away for the night. So they leave young Judy in the care of their very trusty teenage sitter Mary Ellen, played by Madison Iseman. She was in Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. She's also going to be in the next Jumanji film, which I don't know when it comes out. I think probably towards the end of the year. So everything is going swimmingly well until Mary Ellen runs into her BFF, Daniela Rios, played by Katie Sarif. And I've never seen her before. She actually looks like Ashton Kutcher's wife, Mila Kunis. She reminded me of Mila Kunis. So she runs into Danielle Rios at the supermarket, and Daniela, who's still harboring guilt over her father's death a year earlier, she decides to invite herself over to the Warrens' house, where, well, you know what's going to happen. You have two nubile young teenagers and a little girl in a house with a bunch of demonic possessions. You know what's going to happen, and of course it happens, right? Okay, so no great surprises here. But what happens is it's got every well-worn, well-used horror trope there is. So you have the creaking door, you have the door that opens by itself, and the door that locks by itself. You have things moving. You have fog. you have dark hallways. A dimly lit house. Now this is the dimly lit house business. This one always kills me. If I'm home at night by myself, I turn every bloody light on in the house. This movie, they're walking around in the dark, and I'm thinking to myself, turn on a light for God's sake. But otherwise, it wouldn't be scary if they did. So it's got all that. But it also, I have to say, and again, I was talking to this friend last night, because he had to miss it last week because he had something else going on. So he was asking me what it was. I said to him, you know what? I surprised myself. I actually like this film. It's absolute rubbish. I mean, it really is rubbish, but it's good rubbish. It's good rubbish. I think the acting is really good. I thought McKenna Grace was wonderful in this. The two young actresses, hadn't seen either of them before because I didn't see the first Jumanji film. I thought they were really good. Of course, you have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They're always good. And then there is a couple new characters. There's Bob, who's the love interest of Mary Ellen. He happens to live across the road from the Warrens. He's played by a young actor named Michael Cimino, who has the same name as the guy who did Heaven's Gate, who passed away, the director who passed away, Michael Cimino. I think this is his biggest film he's ever been in. I really liked him. There was another young fellow who plays the pizza delivery guy. He was a hoot. So I can't remember what his name is. Never seen him before. He was a hoot. So I thought the acting really saved this film. It's exactly what you expect it to be. It's like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. But there's a little bit of humor, a fair bit of humor in it, but really solid acting performances. And to me, that's what made it. The other thing that really made this film was the music. It's all 70s music. Not all 70s. There's about 6 or 7 songs from the early 70s. And all these songs are on my playlist on my phone. So I thought that was really nice. You get to see them watch TV a couple times, and they have these classic American TV shows. I won't say which ones because you'll watch it and you'll start laughing. I was laughing at quite a bit through this film, and I'm sure my fellow Hong Kongers around me were wondering why is this crazy Guilo laughing? Guilo is Cantonese word for foreign devil. That's what they call us, and that's what we call us. So I like the film. I like the film. Now, so if the Annabelle series is a franchise, I thought this was a fitting end to the franchise. I liked it. But I'm guaranteeing that this is not the last time we're going to see the Annabelle doll. My prediction, and I want you to remember when this happens, you're going to say, I remember Howard told me about this on July the 5th, 2009. I have to look at my calendar down here. My prediction is the next trilogy about Annabelle, we're going to see Judy grown up. It'll start off in the 1980s, and she's going to have a boyfriend, and the boyfriend will be Daniela's kid brother, Tony Rios. This is my prediction. So anyhow, Annabelle comes home. Not great art, not good, not well-crafted horror, but fun. So, you can choose. That's it. looking forward to next week when I can talk about Toy Story. I think Toy Story 4 is next week as well. I know I'm seeing it over the weekend, and Chucky. I think there's something else happening next week. I can't remember. Anyhow, see you next week. Bye.